What if I told you that one man's vision transformed Las Vegas from America's adult playground into a corporate boardroom with slot machines? While tourists still flood the Strip spending billions, they're walking through the graveyard of everything that once made Vegas magical. All of it systematically dismantled by one billionaire's blueprint. Sheldon Adelson didn't just build casinos, he rebuilt an entire city in his image. And once you see how he did it, you'll understand why Vegas feels so soulless today. Number 9. The end of the classic casino floor picture walking into a Vegas casino in 1985. Low ceilings trapped cigarette smoke in a haze that made everything feel intimate, dangerous even. You could hear individual slot machines singing their mechanical songs, dealers calling out to regulars by name, and the electric buzz of possibility hanging in the air. That Vegas is dead, and Sheldon Adelson helped kill it. When Adelson opened the Venetian in 1999, he introduced something Vegas had never seen: the corporate casino floor. Soaring 60-foot ceilings, marble columns, and enough square footage to fit 3 football fields. The space was so vast, you could barely hear the person next to you, let alone feel any connection to fellow gamblers. This wasn't designed for locals who came every Friday with their $100 bankroll. This was built for international high rollers and convention attendees with expense accounts. The numbers tell the story. The old Sands Casino that Adelson demolished had 700 slot machines packed into 51,000 square feet. The Venetian opened with 2,500 machines spread across 120,000 square feet of gaming space. More machines, sure, but each one isolated in its own pool of empty marble. The intimacy vanished. The cigarette smoke that once created those mysterious clouds, where fortunes were won and lost, got sucked into industrial ventilation systems. Everything became pristine, predictable, profitable. And here's what really changed. The house edge stayed the same, but the human element disappeared. Old Vegas casino floors were neighborhoods. Regulars had their machines, their dealers, their bartenders who knew their drinks. Adelson's model turned gambling into a transaction. Swipe your card, push your buttons, move along. The floor managers who once knew your kid's name were replaced by algorithms tracking your play rate. The cocktail waitresses who chatted while delivering free drinks became efficiency metrics, serving watered-down wells every 23 minutes exactly. Other casinos watched the Venetian's profits soar past $500 million annually and copied the formula. Wynn followed suit. MGM expanded. Caesars renovated. Within a decade, every major casino floor felt identical. Massive, sterile, corporate. The adventure of gambling became as exciting as using an ATM. But if you think turning casino floors into marble warehouses was bad, wait until you hear how Adelson completely reimagined who Vegas was even built for. Number 8. The birth of the convention empire Vegas used to belong to gamblers, honeymooners, and anyone looking to cut loose for a weekend. Then Sheldon Adelson looked at his revenue reports and realized something that would forever change the city. Convention attendees spend 3 times more than leisure tourists, so he built a weapon that would transform Vegas from America's playground into America's conference room, the Sands Expo and Convention Center. When Adelson opened his 1.2 million square foot convention center in 1990, it was the largest privately owned convention facility in the world. Industry insiders called him crazy. Who would fly to Vegas for a dental equipment trade show? Turns out, everyone. By 2000, his convention space was generating $300 million annually, with profit margins that made his casino look like a side business. The math was irresistible. A leisure tourist might spend $500 over a weekend. A convention attendee drops $1,500 and their company covers it. They book rooms months in advance at peak rates. They eat at expensive restaurants because it's expensed. They gamble with the recklessness of someone playing with house money, because technically they are. Here's what this meant for regular visitors. Convention weeks became blackout dates. Room rates that normally cost $79 suddenly jumped to $400 when the Consumer Electronics Show rolled into town. Restaurants required reservations weeks in advance. Pool parties turned into corporate networking events. The spontaneous Vegas getaway became impossible. You couldn't just show up anymore. You had to plan around the convention calendar, By 2019, conventions brought 6.6 million attendees to Vegas, generating $11.4 billion in economic impact. Adelson's model had won. The Venetian alone hosted over 1,000 conventions annually. Every major property followed suit, building their own convention spaces, chasing those expense account dollars. The city that once catered to the everyman now prioritized the businessman. The transformation was complete when cab drivers started asking arriving passengers which convention instead of first time in Vegas. The city had traded its soul for a lanyard and a tote bag. But the conventions were just the beginning, because when it came time to build his monument to this new Vegas, Adelson would literally demolish history to make room for it. Number 7. The Venetian over the Desert Inn. On August 23, 2000, Las Vegas watched its past explode. The Desert Inn, the casino that hosted JFK and Howard Hughes, that gave Frank Sinatra his first residency, collapsed in a cloud of dust to make way for Adelson's expansion. Old-timers wept. Adelson called it progress. The Desert Inn wasn't just another casino. It opened in 1950 when the mob still ran Vegas, when class meant something more than thread count. This was where the Beatles stayed, where Hollywood filmed Ocean's 11, where Howard Hughes lived on the top floor for 4 years, running his empire. From a penthouse that became legend, it represented everything Vegas used to be: exclusive but accessible, glamorous but gritty, dangerous but irresistible. Adelson bought it for $270 million in 2000 and immediately announced demolition plans. Preservationists begged him to save at least the facade. The city offered tax incentives to preserve the historic property. Adelson's response was swift and symbolic. He imploded it all, every last brick of history, to build a $1.9 billion expansion connecting the Venetian to what would become the Palazzo. The numbers made sense to shareholders. The Desert Inn's 715 rooms were generating maybe $50 million annually. The Palazzo would have 3,066 suites, generating $800 million. But something intangible died in that implosion. The Desert Inn had stories. It had ghosts. It had the fingerprints of everyone who made Vegas legendary. The Palazzo has marble and a Barney's New York. Local columnist John L. Smith wrote that day, "We're not just losing buildings, we're losing our memory." He was right. After the Desert Inn fell, the dominoes toppled fast. The Stardust imploded. The Frontier gone. The Riviera demolished. Each one replaced by something bigger, newer, more profitable, and completely without character. Adelson proved that nostalgia has no stock value. His Venetian and Palazzo complex now spans 7.5 million square feet, making it one of the largest buildings on Earth by floor space. It generates over $1.5 billion annually. By every business metric, he won. But here's what those metrics don't measure: the number of locals who never visit the Strip anymore, because it doesn't feel like their city. The tourists who return to find their favorite old casino replaced by another glass tower. The dealers who worked at the Desert Inn for 30 years and couldn't find jobs at the Venetian because they didn't fit the new image. Progress? Maybe. But if this was progress, it came at the price of everything that made Vegas special. And the worst part? Adelson's success inspired every other corporation to follow his blueprint. Number 6. Corporate monopolization. Before Adelson showed everyone the money, Vegas was a wild collection of independent operators. The Circus had actual circus acts. The Frontier hosted rodeos in its parking lot. Each casino had its own personality, its own hustle, its own reason to exist. Then Wall Street watched Adelson's profits and realized something terrifying. Vegas was under-monetized. By 2005, the Venetian was generating more revenue per square foot than any casino in history. The $500 per foot annually, nearly triple what older properties managed. Investment firms took notice, private equity descended. Within 5 years, Las Vegas went from dozens of independent operators to just 5 corporations controlling 90% of the Strip. MGM Resorts swallowed up Mirage, Bellagio, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, and 6 others. Caesars Entertainment grabbed Harrah's, Rio, Flamingo, and Paris. Vegas Sands Corporation, Adelson's empire, dominated the luxury convention market. Wynn Resorts carved out the ultra-high-end segment. Boyd Gaming took what was left. The quirky independents got crushed or bought out. Competition died, and with it, innovation. Why create unique experiences when you owned half the market anyway? Why lower prices when your only competitor was following the same playbook? The corporations discovered they could raise rates in perfect synchronization. Room prices jumped 40% between 2010 and 2019. Despite no significant improvement in service or amenities, they weren't competing anymore. They were collaborating through market dynamics. The homogenization was complete. Walk through Caesars properties, and every rewards desk looks identical. Every restaurant menu feels familiar. The cocktail waitress uniforms blur together. The same slot machines, arranged in the same patterns, making the same sounds. Even the carpet patterns started looking suspiciously similar. Vegas had become a monopoly board where every property was owned by the same 5 players. Here's the data that should terrify anyone who loves free markets. In 1990, the largest casino company controlled 8% of Vegas rooms. By 2019, MGM alone controlled 37% of Strip inventory. When corporations get that big, they stop caring about individual customers. You become a metric, a revenue unit, a loyalty tier. The tragedy isn't just about money. It's about what got lost in translation. The Dunes had a 90-foot Sultan statue that waved at passing cars. The Stardust had a 188-foot neon sign visible from space. Today's corporate casinos have LED screens displaying the same rotating advertisements for Cirque du Soleil. But if corporate consolidation killed Vegas's personality, what came next killed something even more sacred: the promise of a cheap, good time. Number 5. The rise of the resort fee era. In 1997, Adelson's Venetian did something that would forever change how Vegas rips you off. They added a resort fee on top of the room rate. Just $9 at first for amenities like gym access and local phone calls. Guests grumbled but paid. Other properties watched. Then they copied. Then they perfected the scam. Today, that $9 fee has mutated into a $45 nightly charge at the Venetian. Across the Strip, resort fees average $37 per night, generating over $1 billion annually in pure profit. These aren't for new services. They're for things that used to be free: Wi-Fi, pool access, bottled water in your room, the gym you'll never use, the newspaper you didn't ask for, the local phone calls nobody makes anymore. The genius of Adelson's model was making these fees mandatory and hidden until checkout. Online travel sites show a $100 room rate. You book it thinking you found a deal. Then at checkout, after resort fees, taxes, and parking, that $100 room costs $175. The Federal Trade Commission called it drip pricing, designed to deceive consumers. Vegas called it standard operating procedure. Here's how insidious this became. Properties started lowering advertised room rates while simultaneously raising resort fees. The Luxor advertises $40 rooms, but adds a $35 resort fee. You're essentially paying $75, but the hotel captures price-sensitive customers searching for deals under $50. It's not just deceptive, it's predatory. The parking situation followed the same playbook. Free self-parking was a Vegas birthright until MGM started charging in 2016. Within 6 months, every major Strip property, except the Venetian, had added parking fees. Then even Adelson caved in 2018. Now you pay $25 to park at the same casino where you're already gambling. They're charging you to give them your money. But wait, there's more. Early check-in fees, $30 to $50. Late checkout fees, $50 to $75. Cabana rentals that used to be comped to good players, $400 minimum. Even the mini fridges that came standard now cost $40 per day if you want them activated. Every single aspect of the Vegas experience has been itemized, monetized, and optimized for extraction. What changed wasn't just pricing, but psychology. Old Vegas wanted you to feel rich. They gave you free drinks, free shows, free rooms if you played enough. They wanted you loose, happy, gambling. New Vegas wants you to feel every dollar leaving your pocket. They've replaced the illusion of abundance, huipos, with the reality of nickel and diming. The transformation is complete when you realize that Vegas hotel revenues from resort fees alone now exceed what most properties made from their entire hotel operations in the 1990s. But if hidden fees broke the promise of transparency, what happened next broke something even more fundamental: the sacred contract between casinos and gamblers. Number 4, the death of comp culture. There used to be an unspoken deal in Vegas. You gamble, they take care of you. Play the slots for an hour, get a free buffet, sit at the blackjack table long enough, earn a show ticket, drop serious money, and your entire trip was complimentary. This wasn't generosity, it was psychology. Comps made losers feel like winners. Adelson's analytical approach killed all that. The Venetian introduced something revolutionary and ruthless: algorithmic comp calculation. Every bet tracked, every decision logged, every player rated by theoretical loss rather than actual playtime. The old pit boss, who'd slip you dinner vouchers after a bad beat, was replaced by an app that calculated your value to the penny. If the math said you weren't profitable enough, you got nothing. The numbers are staggering. In 1995, Vegas casinos gave away $1.2 billion in comps annually. By 2019, despite gaming revenues nearly doubling, comp values dropped to $800 million. But here's the real kicker: 90% of those remaining comps now go to the top 10% of players. If you're not betting $100 per hand, you essentially don't exist. Free drinks were the first casualty. What was once unlimited became rationed. Bartenders got drink tracking systems. Cocktail waitresses received handheld devices monitoring service intervals. That watered-down rum and coke that flows freely at your local tribal casino? In Vegas, you'll wait 30 minutes between rounds, and that's if you're actively playing. Stop to check your phone, and the waitress mysteriously vanishes. Then came the loyalty programs, transformed from rewards into manipulation. The Venetian's Grazi. Rewards uses a formula so complex that players can't figure out how close they are to the next tier. Points expire. Benefits change without notice. That free room you earned? Blackout dates cover every weekend. The buffet comp doesn't include dinner anymore. Even the birthday offers shrank from free stays to 15% off if you book 3 nights. Players tell stories that would have been impossible in old Vegas, losing $5,000 in an afternoon and being offered a comp worth $40. Slot players hitting jackpots and watching their host disappear. Regulars who gambled weekly for years suddenly told their play doesn't qualify for comps anymore because the algorithm decided they weren't increasing their bets fast enough. The psychological contract that built Vegas has been shredded. Players no longer feel valued or appreciated. They feel extracted from. The house doesn't just want to win anymore. It wants to win while giving back nothing. And when gamblers feel disrespected, they find other places to play. Online casinos offer better bonuses. Native American casinos treat regulars better. Even cruise ships comp more generously than modern Vegas. But if Adelson's analytical approach killed the comp culture, his political philosophy would devastate something even more vital: the workers who made the whole machine run. Number 3. The war on workers. Sheldon Adelson once said he'd be the richest person in the world if not for unions. So he spent millions making sure Vegas workers had less power, less security, and less of everything that made casino jobs the backbone of the city's middle class. His war on labor didn't just hurt workers, it killed the soul of a city built by them. The Venetian remains the only major strip property without union representation. When workers tried organizing in 1999, Adelson spent $4 million on anti-union consultants. He flew in replacement dealers from Asia. He installed cameras specifically to monitor employee conversations. The National Labor Relations Board found him guilty of over 80 violations of federal labor law. His response? Appeal everything and keep fighting. The numbers tell the story of what this meant. Unionized housekeepers on the Strip averaged $23 per hour with health benefits and pensions. At the Venetian, similar roles start at $17 with minimal benefits. Dealers at union properties make $60,000 to $80,000 annually with job security. Venetian dealers report $45,000 average earnings and can be fired without cause. The difference compounds over careers, costing workers hundreds of thousands in lifetime earnings. But Adelson's influence extended beyond his own properties. He poured $150 million into political campaigns, much of it supporting anti-labor politicians and policies. Nevada's right-to-work laws got stronger. Labor protections weakened. The balance of power shifted from workers who built Vegas to corporations that owned it. Here's what this meant on the ground. The old Vegas promise was simple: work hard dealing cards or cleaning rooms, and you could buy a house, send kids to college, maybe even retire with dignity. That promise is broken. Today's casino workers need 2 jobs to afford rent. They skip medical care because insurance deductibles are too high. They watch their schedules get cut during slow weeks while executives collect millions in bonuses. The human stories are heartbreaking. Dealers with 30 years experience training their replacements from overseas who work for half the wage. Housekeepers developing chronic injuries but afraid to report them. Cocktail waitresses in their 60s unable to retire because pensions disappeared. These aren't statistics. They're people who gave their lives to Vegas, only to watch Vegas abandon them. The Culinary Union, which represents 60,000 Vegas workers, calls Adelson's legacy devastating to working families. Their contracts used to set standards for the entire industry. Now they're fighting just to maintain what's left. Healthcare costs rise faster than wages. Automation threatens jobs. Corporate profits hit records while workers' share of revenue hits historic lows. When workers lose power, service suffers. The friendly dealer who knew your name gets replaced by someone counting days until they find better work. The housekeeper who took pride in perfect rooms rushes through 20 in a shift. The bartender who crafted perfect cocktails now pours from a gun. You feel it as a customer. The warmth is gone, replaced by transaction. But if destroying worker power was brutal, what happened to luxury itself was heartbreaking. Number 2. The luxury illusion. Walk into the Venetian's lobby and you'll see exactly what killed luxury in Las Vegas. 40-foot ceilings, marble from floor to crown, reproductions of Italian masterpieces, $500 million spent creating the most opulent casino on earth. Yet somehow it feels emptier than a $50 room at the Old Flamingo ever did. That's because Adelson confused luxury with expense, and every property followed his lead. The Venetian charges $400 per night for a luxury suite. The suite is beautiful, 650 square feet of marble and gold leaf. But here's what you don't get: a host who remembers your name, a concierge who actually helps instead of pushing restaurant commissions, a bartender who knows your drink. You get space and surfaces, not service and soul. This is the paradox Adelson created. His properties delivered the appearance of luxury while stripping away everything that made guests feel luxurious. The old Vegas high roller hosts knew your wife's birthday, your favorite champagne, which shows you loved. Today's hosts are sales algorithms with business cards. They track your theoretical loss, not your personal preferences. You're not a valued guest, you're a revenue optimization problem. The Palazzo, Adelson's $1.9 billion sequel to the Venetian, epitomizes this hollow grandeur. It has 53 floors of suites, each one identical, each one forgettable. The restaurants have Michelin stars, but no warmth. The shopping mall sells Ferraris, but good luck finding someone to help you. Everything costs 5 times what it used to, yet somehow delivers less satisfaction than ever before. Real luxury used to be invisible. The dealer who'd slow down the game when you were drunk, the waiter who'd appear with your favorite wine before you ordered, the valet who'd have your car waiting, air conditioning running when you walked out. These small touches that made you feel known, valued, special. Adelson's model replaced all that with marble. Beautiful, cold, dead marble. The numbers expose the lie. The Venetian and Palazzo combined have 7,000 suites, making personalized service mathematically impossible. When Caesar's Palace opened in 1966, it had 680 rooms and 1,800 employees. The Venetian has 4,000 suites and 8,500 employees, half the staff per room, but somehow charging 4 times the price. They're selling you less while calling it more. Even worse, this fake luxury became the template. Every property started chasing the same illusion. Bigger rooms, higher prices, less character. The intimacy that made you feel special got replaced by square footage that made you feel small. The personal attention that justified premium prices got replaced by automated check-in kiosks and chatbot concierges. Here's what tourists discovered. You could pay $500 a night and still feel like nobody. You could drop $10,000 gambling and barely get acknowledged. You could eat at celebrity chef restaurants and leave hungry for something real. The luxury was all performance, no heart. Instagram-worthy backgrounds with nothing behind them. Which brings us to the ultimate tragedy, the moment when Vegas finally flatlined. Number 1. The death of the dream. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Las Vegas died the day it became predictable. And Sheldon Adelson, more than any single person, authored that death by turning chaos into corporate policy, danger into data points, and dreams into spreadsheets. The city didn't die in an explosion like the hotels Adelson demolished. It died slowly, one policy manual at a time. Old Vegas was beautiful because it was broken. Mob money built it. Sinatra was drunk on stage. Dealers skimmed. Cocktail waitresses had affairs with high rollers. Nobody knew what might happen when the sun went down. That unpredictability was the product. Adelson killed it with something far more deadly than dynamite: professional management. The Venetian operates on 2,847 standard operating procedures. Every interaction scripted, every possibility accounted for. Dealers can't deviate from approved small talk. Bartenders pour exact measurements. Security cameras cover every inch except inside the suites. And rumors say even that's monitored. Spontaneity isn't just discouraged, it's systematically eliminated. But here's the real tragedy. It worked. The Venetian and Palazzo generate $1.5 billion annually with profit margins that make other casinos weep. Adelson proved you could strip away everything that made Vegas special and still print money, so everyone copied him. Today's Strip is just 8 versions of the same sanitized experience, differentiated only by which replica city they're pretending to be. The numbers tell a story of a city that lost its nerve. In 1990, you could find $5 blackjack at 90% of casinos. Today, it doesn't exist on the Strip. In 1995, prostitution arrests average 400 monthly, evidence of Vegas's seedy underbelly. By 2019, they dropped 70%, not because vice disappeared, but because even sin got corporatized and pushed off Strip. The mob was dangerous, but at least they were interesting. Corporate boards are something worse: boring. You feel it the moment you arrive. The airport plays safety videos about responsible gambling. The taxi drivers follow scripts. The hotels funnel you through the same path from registration to casino floor. Every experience engineered to extract maximum revenue with minimum variation. Vegas became a machine, and machines don't have souls. What Adelson never understood was that people didn't come to Vegas for luxury or conventions or even gambling. They came to feel alive, to do things they couldn't do at home, to become someone different for a weekend. His Vegas offers none of that. You can't lose yourself in a city that tracks your every move. You can't feel dangerous in a place that eliminated all danger. You can't escape reality in a corporate boardroom decorated with slot machines. The saddest part? Most visitors don't even know what they're missing. They never experienced a Vegas where anything could happen, where $20 could last all night, where every dealer had stories and every bartender poured heavy. They accept this hollow version because it's all that's left. They Instagram their Venetian suite, not realizing they're photographing Vegas's coffin. Adelson died in 2021, worth $35 billion. His empire continues without him, running on the processes he perfected. The Venetian still prints money, the conventions still fill hotels. The machine grinds on, but the dream, that beautiful, dangerous, democratic dream of Vegas as America's pressure valve, the place where plumbers played next to millionaires and everyone had a shot at glory, that dream is as dead as the desert inn he demolished. Vegas didn't lose its way. It was led away, deliberately, methodically, profitably, one marble corridor at a time.